Start now for the second of the pairs races, and this is the men's pairs, and we have crews already on the start, and in lane one we have Joran Gjagar and Nikola Stojek of Serbia. They were racing for Serbia-Montenegro and they won medals at Serbia and Montenegro, but those two nations have now separated. And in lane two we have Colin Smith, almost a lightweight, and the enormously strong Matthew Langridge in the stroke seat. In lane three, the reigning world champions, perennial gold medalist Drew Ginn in the bow seat, and Duncan Free over from single sculling into the pair and world champion last year. Next to them, Nathan Twaddle and George Bridwater, who were world champions in Gifu in 2005. Perennial bronze, silver, and lower down the order, never gold medalists Ramon Di Clemente and Donovan Czech of the Republic of South Africa. And in lane six, fast finishers and surprise finalists Erwan Perron and Laurent Cadou of France. A lot of French crews doing extremely well in this championships after not such glistening World Cup seasons earlier on.
And this will be the crew to watch, I guess, alongside the New Zealanders. This Australian, immensely experienced in the bow, Drew Ginn, and his partner Duncan Free. Duncan, a long-time sculler, then changing to sweep last year, and they really were a revelation, a cut above, but the New Zealanders pushed them hard and eaten.
They certainly did, and it's difficult when you're as young as George Bridwater and relatively new to the sport to hold the World Championships in the way that Maher Drysdale has been able to do. But that is exceptional, 3 wins in a row. So, we're back with Australia as expected, and at the moment we can see Duncan Free, who's a fairly laid-back character, actually giving a bit of welly to this, I think.
He is, and this crew has a very, very fast starting sequence. They like to open up an early lead and then sit back and watch the rest of the field, and it'll be the countering that New Zealand will be trying to do to that tactic, and they're doing very well at the moment. They're just sitting, New Zealand, just perhaps half a canvas behind the Australians, and they'll be reasonably happy with that. Quite a contrast in rowing style between these two crews. The Australians very long, and they give a lot of time between the stroke. George and Nathan a little faster in the rating, and they'll keep that up over the whole course.
They certainly will, and that's interesting because George Bridwater he's over 2 meters, which in our terms is 6'8", something like that.
Biggest man in the New Zealand squad, so he really is quite a giant of a man, but he has a very compressed stroke and really gives it everything on the oar straight away. So still up in the 40s, I understand, New Zealand.
I've taken it at 44 on my watch, and I actually didn't believe it, so I covered it up again. But I think that's right. I think they were at 44. They looked it, and they're putting these Australians under some pressure. But it's Ginn who feels the pressure. You see Ginn flick his eyes across to the left to see what New Zealand's up to, and it's Free, who's a more laid-back character, who'll be thinking, "I'll take this over the whole 2000."
Well, the Kiwis have done very well in fact, they went just behind the Australians through that first quarter, so they'll be very, very happy with it. And George only knows one pace, and that's flat out, and Nathan Twaddle will be hanging on for dear life.
They're still at 41. Well, actually 41 and a half, we'll call that 42. And Twaddle will be thinking, have I got to do this for another 1,500 metres? They've only done 500, and they're still in the 40s. And if this is race pace, well, I think it's probably the right tactic to take on Australia, because Australia, if you let them get out in front, as they did in the semi-final, which was the superb performance, I thought, of semi-finals day, that Australian pair, and I guess this is the tactic. Who would have put this in their minds, that they've got to take them early?
That's right. Well, I'm sure the Kiwi camps look very hard at just what the Australians do. I think when they get out in front, they get that very long loping style, and they generate a lot of boat speed, a lot of time between the strokes. And of course, over that 2,000 metres, there's a lot of energy conserved in that. So the tactic here is to put them under real pressure and to break up their ability to settle and get that lovely rhythm that they can have. And they're doing a very good job. These two are moving well clear at the top of the screen. Serbia trying to hold on to that third spot, and inside them the Great Britain crew. But big George Bridwater doing the job at the moment, sitting alongside the world champions from Australia.
I can tell you that back in that British crew, Colin Smith, who's a very small athlete compared to his stroke man, but a very bright and a hugely competitive one. And as we go through the line, I think, well, they look neck and neck. It's 0.2 of a second to Australia over New Zealand, but it's impossible to tell. but Smith will be saying, we've got a strong finish, and these crews are so far out in front, they may have blown the doors off before they get into the last 500, because it's the only hope for anybody to get back in touch. Now, Australia have made a move, and they must have known that this might be, something like this might be happening, and as they went through 1,000 metres, they picked it up, and they've taken a 3 or 4 metre lead over the New Zealand crew. It's not over yet, but that was an interesting tactical device.
Quite a decisive little break there, and psychologically very difficult to deal with. As you know, Joe, the third 500 is a one that there's a lot of way to go to the finish, and there's a lot of pain in the oarsmen as well. And the Aussies have just pushed it up a little bit. It wasn't perceptible so much with rating. A little bit more pressure on, and away they went. They've just slipped their boat now. They may be half a length in front of the Kiwis.
They're giving 38 to Australia, which is what I got on my watch, and 42 still to the Kiwis. And I saw Free, who is not normally a very concentrated character, just flick his eyes across, and he's doing what Gin's doing, which is concentrating really hard on that. And this is confusing. The parallax makes it look like Australia's out a length on New Zealand. They're not, but they are up.
They are, and that was a very nice piece of work from Australia. We'll just see what the Kiwis have got. As we
look here at Goran Jagar in the bow seat, and Nikola Stojic closer to the camera, and at 33 years of age he's up for a bronze medal here for Serbia. They've done it before, and they might be up there, but I can see that the British pair of Colin Smith and Matthew Langridge has now taken the Serbians, and they pass through into the last 500 in bronze medal position. Serbia fourth, France fifth, and Republic of South Africa in 6th place.
Well, those crews probably aren't going to... Well, one of them's going to feature in the middle position. The two leading crews, they are pretty well out. Australia now in a comfortable lead. Just a bit more than a length now over New Zealand, and that early pace has taken its toll. The Aussies have now just crept away. But that bronze medal race is going to be very interesting, because you mentioned that very fast finishing French crew, and they're still within contact in that bronze position.
They're over in lane 6, and the French are pushing it along very well indeed, and coming up. They're well up on South Africa, who are all over the place. France over 40, Australia at 40, New Zealand fading a bit. They'll hold on to silver medal position, we think, but it's now for bronze medal between Great Britain and France. Great Britain on the far side of the course, France near to the camera on this side. But look at Australia absolutely creaming this field, which are racing for silver and bronze medals, so there's plenty of racing behind them, but Australia just cruising away.
Yes,
that is outstanding.
It is. This is one of the outstanding crews of this regatta, there's no doubt about that, and just that boat really just moving beautifully. But this silver medal race is not over yet, because Great Britain have been flying over this last 500 metres. They are really closing in on the Kiwis in the last couple of strokes. They may have left it too late. Australia crossed the line first. New Zealand will hold on to the silver medal, just ahead of Great Britain.
France in 4th, Republic of South Africa 5th, and the Serbia, which showed well early on, just paddling through the line. 2 lengths of open water, would you say?
2 lengths.
Get the seconds. That is 5 seconds.
All taken over 1,000 metres in the last 1,000 metres.
Absolutely. They were neck and neck as they went through 1,000, and they a little bit up. Where were they? They were 2 seconds up at 1,500, and at 2,000 they doubled that to 5.5 seconds. That is an absolutely outstanding performance. I think Ken's quite pleased.
and he
can stop worrying at last.
That's right. And of course he's won a bit before.
He started out with an Olympic gold in the Coxless in
92
in Barcelona. They did it again in 96 in Atlanta, and then a whole bunch of stuff in between. And he's been in a pair, and he won with